Well, it'd be interesting if we could get the material that I have not opened that Gilly sent me, and he has all the information on the Scots who've been around the Philadelphia area for quite some time, came over from Scotland, and their farm was taken over by the city of Philadelphia, and the Scott Dairies, and there was then a place called Belmont Mansion, and my grandfather was born in Belmont Mansion, and that was the family farm. So in 1976, at the 100th anniversary of the 1876,
Yeah.
had the big centennial here in Philadelphia, and that's when all this was done to enlarge Fairmount Park and whatnot. So the dairy started right there, and my grandfather, great-grandfather, ran the dairy, and my father's name crept into the picture when actually my great-grandfather had Blaine Sr. That was my grandfather.
Right.
And when he was born, he decided that he'll name me after the person who was running for President of the United States, James G. Blaine, who was the Secretary of State for Ulysses S. Grant.
Really?
And that's how I got Blaine.
What was your father's name was Blaine also, though.
Oh yeah, I'm the third and Scotty's the fourth.
Right.
And the dynasty has come to an end. But my middle name, Wahab, was one that really floored everybody. W-A-H-A-B.
I thought that was Indian.
It was not Indian, but from India.
American Indian.
No, it was not American Indian. No way. This is from India.
Oh, Indian.
See?
And
There you
my
go.
uncle Zeke was John.
Married an Indian princess.
No,
Oh.
that's right. He brought her home to the United States.
Well, this is the
But
story.
an Indian princess.
I always thought it was
Well,
American.
she wasn't. That's what we say is a princess. Who knows?
Oh, okay. She
What-
became a princess.
The family was very upset, and he wired home evidently at that time, and they went up to New York to meet the ship that came in that brought him and her.
The Indian princess.
And actually, my great-grandfather was very fond of her. She turned out to be a great addition to the family. So then when my grandfather was born, he decided to use her name as the middle name, and that's how W-A-H-A-B.
That's her last. That's her maiden name, though, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's what I thought.
And that is, where have you been?
Where
have you been? So
I didn't
that's
know
how the
that.
dynasty started.
That's too funny.
But the dairy grew, and my great-grandfather really built the dairy, and he had a fellow by the name of Powell. That was another outfit, and they merged and it became Scott Powell Dairies. And they had a division at the North Philadelphia, and they had another division that was in West Philadelphia. And that's where my grandfather lived, was on 63rd Street in West Philadelphia. It was a nice place to live in those days.
Yeah.
And he went to West Philadelphia High before he went on to Episcopal Academy. And he went to Episcopal, then went on to Penn. But he was
We're
quite
gonna be attacked.
he was quite a character, and that's my great grandfather, and he liked horses, and he had a horse that won the Hamiltonian in Goshen, New York, when it was done there. And of course, they had nothing but horses taking the milk wagons, so he had a few for other purposes. He also had
And what were the other purposes?
racing. But he was a trotter. They had trotters. And he also, my father, when he was young, he had a goat. I don't know why they had a goat.
You had a goat. Okay.
I'll never forget the story.
Goat milk.
Upset my great grandfather, because when he went into the barn where the horses were kept, that's where the goat was kept. And my father had the goat out, let the goat go, and the goat ate the tail off of his coat.
Racehorse.
Yeah, he had.
Oh no!
The goat was. That was the end of the. That was the end of the goat.
I bet it was. Well, goats eat everything, I understand.
And he had a stroke. He was another heavy smoker. He had a stroke.
And gee, I wonder why I smoked.
And they ended up. He ended up his life living in Haddon Hall in Atlantic City, and then they ended up. They made the move to Chalfont, which was part of Haddon Hall. It used to be Haddon Hall and Chalfont, and that's where my great grandmother passed away. I can remember them there. And there's a little story about my father. When he was a young man and football, he would go down to see my great grandfather and grandmother. And she had all the pictures around the apartment of the family, you know. And his picture was there. And my great grandfather had a problem talking because of the stroke, and he'd come out every day, every night from dinner, and sit in this one chair. And
what was your great grandfather's name?
John.
John what?
John Scott. So he would sit in his chair. Well, this night he came out. And he wanted to sit in his chair, and somebody else was in his chair. And he started talking. Nobody, the guy couldn't really understand him. So the guy gave him a tough time.
Huh?
And my father happened to be there, and he came out. So my father decked the guy right then and there.
I can see that happening.
And that is it.
No doubt about it.
And that created quite a stir in Haddon Hall. I mean, you just don't do those kind of things. And my great-grandmother was very unhappy. So his picture came down in the closet from that time on.
That's funny.
But they were the ones that when they had, they developed Dolly Madison ice cream, which was named after Dolly Madison, who was the wife of the president, famous at the White House when the White House was burnt down by the British.
Oh, okay.
And
1812.
my great grandfather had a carriage and horses, and when somebody would open up a drugstore or whatever it was where they had a counter and they served ice cream, and they served his ice cream, Dolly Madison in gear with their coachman and everything like that appear for the grand opening. And that was their trademark for Dolly Madison ice cream. Then the plant that they had in West Philadelphia, for example, would do milk. The ice cream was made in kind of North Philadelphia area.
Mm-hmm.
That was the place. In fact, Kathy used to sell them and talk them into buying Worldco Data's computer services for the ice cream, because she met the guy at one of the head honchos there at the bar, and she got in there and did the work for it. So that was kind of a fun thing. But the Lower Merion would not allow